There we go.
So if you can keep an eye on that. Maybe I can help with that later. Okay. All right, I don't want to delay the meeting any longer. Thank you all for being here. I'm calling the meeting to order. And I want to welcome all of you tonight. And we're kind of celebrating St. Patrick's Day, so I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. But are there any guests here tonight?
Yes, there's
Any guests? Well, yes, June Wood. We have June Wood with us, President of Washington County Republican Women, and June will be our speaker next month, so come back and hear her then. All right. And we'll get to...
Jana Starr.
Yes, Jana Starr, and we're going to introduce you a little bit more later. I think those are all the only guests that I see here at the moment, so welcome. All right, so we also have the honor of having had a delegate appointed to the 3rd District for the Republican Party State Committee, and that's Amy Brooker.
Yay!
And I'm going to ask Amy to come up and tell us a little bit about what that entails.
I was very honored. I was selected at the 3rd District meeting as a delegate to the state committee from Benton County. And they meet, I believe, twice a year. And it's a 2-year term. And what that basically means is that I'll get a vote at the meetings. And the next meeting is in June. And at that meeting, I believe on the agenda will be the National Committee Woman election, and that's what June Wood is running for, as well as Mindy McAlinden, and they'll both be here next month to speak. And then I think there's also going to be some rule changes that are voted on. So I'm excited about that. Thank you.
We're excited. Thank you. All right. I'm going to ask Helen Garza if she'll come up and give the prayer for us. Thank you.
Dear Father in heaven, we ask you to be with us tonight in a special way. Be with the speaker as she comes, and Lord, help us in discerning and having wisdom and asking questions. Lord, we just want to know that our representatives are telling the truth and doing what is right and being blameless in your sight. Pray that you will bless this meeting together. I pray in Jesus' name.
I have someone to do the pledge. If Margaret, if you'll come up and do the pledge for us, please.
I'm really blessed and honored to do this because I believe in the flag in the United States. I love the United States of America, and I believe in the flag and what it stands for.
Can you come up to this?
Okay. Well, you heard what I said. I believe in the flag. I believe in America. I love America, and I believe in the flag, and it's an honor. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Margaret. All right. I don't believe Sharon is here. If she comes soon, then we'll do a pinning for her. We live in a time that is full of possibilities and opportunities. And it's a challenging time. And that's when we grow. And I just wanted to remind you that one person makes a difference. One person is really important. And you've heard that your whole life, but I don't think most of us believe that. Most of us think, oh, I can't do that, or I don't have the talent, whatever. We're celebrating St. Patrick today because he's an unusual person. He was born in England. He had a very hard life as a child. Most of the people that do something and do something notable or influential or that they have a passion for life, and they've survived as a youngster some great things. He was taken to Ireland as a slave in a sense, and from England, and he grew to love the Irish people, but made it back to his home, saw his parents again, but had a vision of the people in Ireland calling him back. So he went back, and so many people in Ireland became believers because of him. He wrote a couple of books as well, without an education, but he didn't think he could go back to Ireland because he didn't have an education. So I don't want anybody here to think they can't do something because they don't have an education. That's not what makes you successful. It's following what God wants you to do that makes you successful. It's following and trusting God that keeps us healthy and keeps us alive and keeps us going. So I want to encourage you all. All right, so that's enough of my rambling on about that. So I would like for you to just listen for a little bit longer. I'm going to read 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12, because I think it has a lot to do with motivating us about where our focus should be. For our boasting, and this is Paul speaking, for our boasting is this, the testimony of our conscience, that we conducted ourselves in the world in simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, but by the grace of God, and more abundantly toward you. So with that, I would like for Christy to come up and introduce our speakers tonight.
Okay, we've got two speakers. We've got a short speech and a longer one. But our very own Diana Wright, she has been serving on a state board for a little over a year. And so I'm going to have her come in just a minute tell about that. And then after she speaks, we've got Jana Starr. She is she's with the Arkansas Republican Women, and she's the legislative chairperson. And so she's going to tell us all about the bills that have passed at the state legislature, and then also maybe the ones that are coming up too. So come on up, Diana. This is kind of high.
I'll just hold it. You want to hold it? Or? So I'm part of the Arkansas Workforce Development Board, and if you look at their website on the left,
Slide over just so you can.
Sorry. If you look at their work on their website, I'm the last one because of Wright, and it's out in alphabetical order. So what this board really does is they do a lot of things, but what they really are doing is collecting unemployment insurance and keeping up with it. And so right now, the unemployment rate is, in January it was 4.6. Can y'all hear me? All right, am I moving? Okay. It's 4.6, and in December it was 4.9. And so when I joined the board, and I'll kind of tell you how I did that, I applied for a position at Votech on their board. And that would have been a better fit, I think, because my background is nursing, and I would have been able to, they have a school of nursing, and so I would have been able to do that. But the governor called and said I've been appointed to the Arkansas Workforce Development Board, and so that's, tell the governor no. You just say thank you, and you might say I think, which I did. Anyway, thank you, I think. But some of the things they do a lot of things. They do a lot of retraining. They are responsible for the Arkansas new hire reports. Everyone that I hired, I had to send in their social so they could be verified that they weren't an illegal alien. They do the work opportunity tax credits, which is if you're in an empowerment zone or underprivileged zone, then you get to apply for that. Then they do the Arkansas apprenticeships, the employment apprenticeships, so someone can go out and work in your company. And they also do the unemployment insurance. And then they do what's called workforce innovation, and they call it WIOA. And so we wound up talking about that a lot because that's what they're really passionate about. And what it means is they're trying to look for new ways to put people to work, and they retrain handicapped people. They are constantly looking for different and more alternative ways to get people involved in the workplace. So anyway, it's an interesting board. Lots of people. We used to have to go down to Little Rock, and it was an all-day event. You'd go down, drive down, spend the night in a hotel, and be at the board all day. And now it's all on Zoom. So it's like the first time we did Zoom, it was 37 minutes versus like it has been like an all-day overtime. It was 37 minutes, and the last time I did it was like half a day. So we've gotten better on Zoom in the last year, but we haven't been in a year. So I haven't been with those people. So anyway, but it's very interesting.
Hey Diana, about how many are on the board with you?
Okay, on the board with me, I don't know the exact number, but I would say probably close to 40. And yeah, and so it's really interesting because I'm always finding people don't look the same way they did 20 years ago. And so this man was sitting next to me, and I go, "Hi, I'm Diane." He goes, "Oh, I know who you are." And he turned out he was my child's agricultural teacher in high school, and of course she'd been out of school a long time. So I was like, okay. It was kind of interesting, but there's a lot of people that sit on the board and do different things, and it's really been kind of, so I'm militant usually, and it's been kind of more interesting because a lot of the people on the board are a lot more militant than me. And so I'll be, wait a minute, I need more information on that. That's what I usually will say. But I don't even have to say that. Somebody will jump up and they go, "No, we're not going to sign that until we know more about it," like that. And I'm like, okay. Then we kind of get it explained a little bit to us. But things like, they wanted us to approve a budget, but we weren't allowed to see the budget. Stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, no, that's not gonna pass in my life. But I didn't have to say anything. A man said it for me. So it was all good. I mean, I just sat there and was like, oh, you go, guy, whoever you are. I'm happy about this. So anyway, things like that. But so far, everything is, it's been a good board to sit on. And a lot of things have happened. Our own Robin got the unemployment reduced about a year ago, and then we had COVID. So they had an excess, and now they don't have an excess anymore. But anyway, that's the board.
Very good.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Come on up.
You want to introduce her?
I already did.
Well, I know.
Now, some people think her name is, I always thought her name was Jana, but her name is Jana.
Jana, long A.
So
But
it's
I am,
Jana.
if you say Jana, I will answer to it because I have relatives that call me Jana. So it's like, Jana, Gina, Jana. So, it's
We
just,
want to get it right.
Wow.
Now we know.
June, we had this conversation once already. She was calling me Jana for a long time, and I won't correct people. I just won't. So it's the way it is. So I am the immediate past president of Washington County Republican Women. I trained June, and now, just kidding. She probably did more work on me than I did on her. But I'm also the legislative chair of Arkansas Federation of Republican Women. That's kind of a new one for me, so I'm just getting started in this. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was voted in as Benton County 3rd District chairwoman. So I'm kind of wearing a lot of little small hats, but they add up. It's kind of crazy, but I didn't know y'all were celebrating St. Patty's Day. I would have put some green on. I have a cute Kelly green jacket that I Y'all look lovely tonight, by the way. Everyone's kind of dressed up. Are you finding it like harder to get back into dressing up after COVID? Because we were all like in yoga pants for a few months and didn't bother getting dressed, and now we're getting to dress up. But I was telling June, I guess, I don't know if it happened during COVID, but at some point, the upkeep became really expensive, like upkeeping all this. Do y'all have that same issue? Like, I think hair went up, like getting your hair done went up. Have y'all noticed, like going to the hair salon is higher now than it used to be? Getting your nails done is higher than it used to be before COVID. And June and I were having this conversation. I said, the cost of keeping this up, this maintenance is really starting to get expensive. I'm gonna have to maybe go back to work. I'm a retired school teacher, but anyway, in fact, I was at a spa the other day, and it was one of those spas, kind of a rare treat, where they have a lot of different services. You can get a facial, and you can get nails, and you can get like whatever you want there. And I was in there for 9 hours. Can you imagine that? 9 hours. And that was just for the estimate. That was just to get an estimate. That's just a joke. That's from one of my favorite comedians of my childhood, and I know some of you younger ones won't know who Phyllis Diller is, but I loved her because she wasn't afraid to make fun of herself, and she didn't take herself too seriously. And I feel like in today's world, we're getting really stressed with everything going on, especially with the Biden administration right now. It's very stressful, and I think we have to remember that we can't let the enemy steal our joy. We have to find joy in everything we're doing. And I was just griping to June on the way here about some of the things lining up, and then it's like you check yourself. You've got to be thankful and be happy and joyful in all things that we're doing in our life, right? And that's what we're taught. Paul said it, in all things we have to be happy. In all things we have to find contentment and joy. So I had to remind myself that too, to find some fun things to keep us kind of joyful. Now, legislation may not be one of those things, but I don't know. I think we've had a really successful 93rd General Assembly so far. We have had a lot of good stuff passed. So I think there's a lot of things to make us happy. And I think our role as in Arkansas, and our legislative role is even more important now that we are having to combat some of the stuff coming from DC. We have to prepare for some of the stuff that's happening there so our state will be ready when some of this comes down. So I think it's even more important now that we pay attention and we watch what's going on, and we call those legislators and let them know how we think about certain bills. So one of the things that I've been doing is following legislation, and on our AFRW website, how many of you are familiar with our AFRW website? So if you're a member of your local club, then you are an automatic member of Arkansas Federation of Republican Women, and I have that on the back side of the sheet, the one right underneath our Arkansas Republican Women Caucus. You see them? I'm so proud of those ladies. We'll talk about that in just a minute, but right underneath all of their names there is our website for AFRW, and if you go in that, you'll see our legislation page, and I post on that regularly, and I send out alerts to all of the club presidents, and then they disperse those as they can. So you may have gotten some of those the last few weeks. If you don't, you can still check that from time to time. I go on there and update it, and you'll see I have my same little picture that's on this page there. And so you're on the right spot if you get on there and see that. And I post a lot of different updates. So anyway, visit that from time to time, and you'll see some of the things that we're really concerned about. Those action alerts are things we really need to call the legislators about, because it's something extremely important. And I had the number one thing on here, my top 10 list so far, because I was telling Christy that I worked on this Friday and Saturday a little bit and was kind of, typing this up. From the time I worked on this till this morning, there were already a whole list of things that went through legislation, so it's that fast. But anyway, we try to stay on top of it, but it's just moving at a rapid pace. But anyway, I'm trying my best to stay up with it and bring you some of the most important things. So number one on my top 10 list, and I'm so thankful for this, and I know you guys are too, because I got into politics because of pro-life, because of abortion and what it was doing. And so I'm so proud of this. How many of you knew that we just outlawed abortion in the state of Arkansas? Was that just wonderful? And I know that the governor expressed some concern about this. He did sign it, but he did express concern because he thought it would go to court. Well, yeah, we know it will, of course, but maybe SB 6 will be the very bill that overturns Roe v. Wade on the national level. I mean, it could. It could. So I think that what needs to happen is that Roe v. Wade is overturned, and then it goes back to the states, and it's up to each individual state to, to do with abortion what they would have, we do. So we're already on top of this because we just outlawed it, except for the case of the mother's life. So I think that's wonderful. It was probably one of the best things that happened this 93rd General Assembly. So I'm so thankful for that. So we have had some really reasons to be joyful and thankful. That was a big one right there. All right, moving down the list, I think this one was wonderful. I was just talking to my daughter about this. How many of you had loved ones in the hospital or a nursing home that you couldn't see during COVID? Yeah, we all had stories of people, some of our senior family members, but also children were in the hospital having surgeries and things and couldn't have a parent in there with them at certain times. Well, we passed this no patient left behind. So I think that was very important. And it says that every person in the hospital can designate one person as their caregiver to come in there and help them. So I felt like that was extremely important because I just can't imagine my little 2-year-old grandson having to have a procedure and be there by himself. I mean, that's just horrible to think about that. Or my sister-in-law's father was in a nursing home, and like many of you had this happen to you, and died in the nursing home basically alone. So it's horrible. So I'm glad that was passed. So that was really good. How many of you think voter identification and voter laws are probably pretty important? Yeah, of course, because we just, went through a season of some really crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And I went to Georgia to help work the runoff election for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. And it's just so disappointing because we were out there working and we were asking some of the Republican people in charge, will anything be different? Have y'all done anything to change what happened? And the only thing we got was, yeah, we have more poll workers out there. We have double the poll workers. And it was like, yeah, I think that helps. But really, is that going to keep Dominion voting machines from mistabulating and sending things elsewhere? Because I'm kind of a little conspiracy theorist on that. I believe that there were some problems with that, which that goes down to another thing we have down here. We have a law that was just passed that said, or I think it's in the works, I don't think it quite went through yet, but that you could not have any voting machines connected to the internet in Arkansas. So we needed that definitely. But so we have several things on voter identification, voter laws that went through to prepare for the next election, because obviously the last one is gone. I don't know if that's ever going to be resolved, but I don't know. All right, and then the next one down here, going along the lines of our low? Is it too loud? Am I too loud?
Is it too loud for anybody else?
You good?
I have that teacher voice, so
Little
I
loud?
kind of sometimes don't really even need a mic.
Okay,
How can we turn
I
it
can
down?
turn it down just to see
Okay.
if people in the
I
back
think we're
are
all
saying it's
fine.
too loud.
Yeah, it's fine.
So this one, Every Mom Matters, will help try to decrease abortion in Arkansas by helping women who find themselves in unwanted pregnancies or situations in their life that are hard. So that is a really pro-life piece of legislation that will help mothers through supporting them, through health services. It provides all kinds of different needs. It's a pretty long bill. They've really thought it through. I was reading that, and it has a lot of different things in there. But the big issue with that is to try to decrease abortions and help women choose life, to choose having their babies by supporting them and giving them support. And that will be run through different health agencies. So there's a lot of different avenues for that. So that was a really good one. So that's why that made my top 10 there. Then the next one, number 6. We have a lot of different sex offender levels and different things like that, but for some reason they're escaping and slipping through. So I think we need to tighten those up as much as we can. And this one definitely did, which I didn't know it wasn't a law. It's kind of scary to think that out-of-state sex offenders didn't have to register before when they came to Arkansas, but now they do. So there's another level of protection for our women and children out there. So there's several different ones like that, but that's, I think, a very important one, of course. All right, and then moving on down, how many of you heard of Stand Your Ground? That was a hot one. It was really hot. June and I were at the Capitol the day that was really being, I guess, bantered back and forth. So we had actual gun rights activists, advocates, who were warring with the people who were trying to pass this bill. So it was like an in-house fighting because of verbiage, how the use of words. But they finally did, I think, come to agreement. I don't know if everyone's happy, but we did move to the point where we were able to pass this so that if an intruder came up to you, if you were at, like I had a friend who was robbed at Hobby Lobby in Little Rock. So she had her purse, and let's just say she had a gun in her purse. She was obligated to try to get away from them if she could before she used that use of force. So this changed that. So if a person can get away, then of course they're supposed to try, but they no longer have to do that. They can stand their ground, of course, and defend themselves without being, found
Yeah,
guilty. So that was a good one.
glad that one passed.
Yes. All right. Okay, another really big one that went through. Senate Bill 354, Fairness and Women's Sports. So that was a big one. How many of you heard of that one? That was a big one. So our ladies in the Republican Women's Caucus, that was one of the things that they supported, and on that sheet you'll see our list there. They have several bills that they are promoting. That was one of them. And so that was really good. I raised 2 daughters who were athletes. They did basketball, tennis, and track. And I can't imagine all that hard work they did. And then we're finding out that many women in different states are losing scholarship opportunity, and they're losing, medals and awards and all these things that people work very hard for, and they're losing them to transgenders who are allowed to compete with them. And this law says that obviously men are made differently, and it goes through all the physiological reasons, like lung capacity is more in men, muscle mass is more, the heart is bigger in a male. I mean, just all the different things that make them, of course, a better athlete if they're competing against a woman. And I heard someone say that if you take Venus Williams or one of the best women's athletes, they're never going to beat the worst man in that sport on the professional level. You know, it's kind of like the Billie Jean King and what was his name? Connor, was it Connor or something? That's a lot, that dates me a little bit right there, but you know, it's just not gonna happen, it's not fair. And I know many of you have girls, daughters and granddaughters. I have my 6-year-old granddaughter, and I think of that, and I want her to be able to compete fairly with other girls and not transgender. So I was so glad that they are addressing that in the state of Arkansas. And then moving on down, we have Back the Blue. That was a good one. That's going to offer more support for police departments for not just a city, but also just a township and things like that, by giving them the resources they need to help our police officers. And I think that's so important. I know probably many of you have law enforcement in your family. I have a brother that's a chief of police, and you know, I want him to be equipped well, and you know, it's hard on them out there, and they need all they can get. And it's, you know, this is a hard time for police officers to be in that position. So I'm glad that we are making that statement in the state of Arkansas. All right, and then I am very proud of this one, because as a former school teacher and school principal, I just never could even imagine why we would allow a child to determine their sex, or to think that they didn't know what they were. I mean, when did we ever say it was okay for a 6 or 7-year-old to make such a huge decision like that? I mean, obviously we don't allow them to do certain things because they are not developed enough to make those decisions. So why we have whole entire institutes out there and clinics that are allowing kids to take medicines and doing surgeries that are life-changing. I mean, the girl who had her breast removed, and now she's come out of the transgender world, and she can't get that back. She's maimed for life. So how we think that a child can make those decisions, and we know, and the bill states it, that the percentage of children who think that they are a gender usually change their minds is very high, because they're kids. It's like my daughter who wanted to be an Egyptologist, and then she wanted to be this, and then she wanted to be that, and she wound up being a lawyer. None of the things that she wanted to be when she was growing up. Of course, because they're kids, right? So I think that I love to see that we have passed this law that children under 18 are not capable of thinking. Their brains are not fully developed. Any of you who've studied that, you know that I think it's even like 25 before your frontal lobes are fully formed and fully functional. So why we would allow children to do that is beyond me. So I'm glad to see that, because I believe that if you make it to 18, it's kind of like, remember your mother wouldn't allow you to wear makeup till you were 16, or she wouldn't let you go on a date. You know, there's just like these things for a reason, and I know that's not as serious, but there were reasons for these milestones in our lives. So I think it's just important that we let a child get to 18. When they're 18, you know, they're an adult, then they can decide. But let's let them get to that. I feel like this is a good bill. Having worked with children for 28 years, this is a good bill for them to have to wait. And then you see all the ones at the bottom there. Those are some notable bills, and you can read over those if you want, but there's several there that I think were really good. How many of you have had packages stolen off your porches, like from Amazon packages? So now that's going to be a Class D felony. Before it was a misdemeanor. So that has changed in there.
That's good. That's already passed?
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
Some of these are in the works still. Some of them have gone through the Senate or the House, and there, you know, there's all these steps. If you've ever been on the website of the Arkansas legislature, there's like this flow chart of what happens to a bill as it's being, you know, it's just all these little different steps. And so some of them have been given to the governor. They're at the governor's waiting for him to sign it, and some are still in those little things. They have to go back to different committees, and if there's any changes, they have to go back and do it again, and it goes back and forth. So some of them are in all kinds of different stages here on the bottom. But there's another sex offender thing there that sex offenders can no longer go to. It was swimming pools, but now we have different things like splash pads and things like that where kids are. So that expanded that a little bit. Then the used car thing, that was a really big one. I think that was Robin Lundstrom who was the sponsor on that, or one of the main sponsors. And so it was $4,000. If you buy a used car, you don't have to pay sales tax if it's $4,000 or less, and now it's $10,000 or less. So that's a good thing, because many people who are buying a car, and you buy a car for $10,000 and you're barely making it, and you have to pay this huge sales tax bill. And sometimes they would tack it onto your payment, so that's good. It's going to help those working people out there who are, especially those who are going through hard times right now. That's going to be a good one. All right, so on the other sheet there, I did include our Dream Big team. That's our Arkansas Republican Women's Caucus. And I put their names there, where they're from, phone numbers, and email addresses, because they have quite a few pieces of legislation I think is very important. So I added that there because I think, and they deserve some credit for what they've done. And so if you want to email them and tell them what a good job they're doing, I put that information there. So that you can have some easy access to getting in touch with them. Because those ladies are working hard and they're taking a stand, and it's not always a popular stand. I know Robin Lundstrom, how many of you saw on the news where she took a lot of heat over that transgender, some of those things that were going on. She had protests up there that got really heated, and they had to have security. So they're very militant, and they don't mind causing trouble. We deal with them a lot in Washington County. Well, they're everywhere. They're in Rogers as well. And but
They're not here yet, but well, they're
Yeah.
over in Washington County.
yeah,
They're here.
Well, I know, but
Kristen.
it's not
Yeah.
as
They're all
much.
over the internet.
mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's.
They
not
are.
as
They are
bad as
all,
Fayetteville.
no, it's getting bad. If you're from Siloam, you have a reputation. They're all over the internet.
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
It's getting ridiculous.
maybe.
yeah, it's really getting difficult because the tactics they use, the cancel culture, all the things I work a lot in Washington County. I'm just over the line in Benton County, so I'm kind of bi-county, I call it. I got one ways. But so they are having a lot of issues with the JPs being attacked. And I was talking to JP Shannon Marty today. She's a new one. I helped her campaign because she was being doxxed so heavily, so viciously. They were putting online her personal address, encouraging people to go visit her, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and she was, a newbie to politics, just wasn't expecting this whole thing. So I jumped in her race, as well as June helped us and other ladies, and we kind of helped her get through it, and she won. So it took our little group getting in there and really helping out because it was pretty vicious. And they're out there everywhere. Well, Robin experienced a little of that the other day in the Capitol. So I think these ladies deserve our respect. So give them some if you come across them, if you know them, or just let them know. We're going to be up there Wednesday bothering them. We like to go up there every now and then and bother them. June and I are partners in crime in that, and we go up there and bebop up there and go into the gallery and see what's going on, and it's been fun. So it's you learn a lot, and but one thing I learned, and I want to share this: those people work hard. And I ran for office once, and I don't know if I'm ever going to again after spending a lot of time up there, because they really do work hard. And I know we gripe a lot about our elected officials sometimes, but they give up a lot, and they're keeping the roads hot between Northwest Arkansas and Little Rock, and they're living in this little dormitory that kind of looks like the first dorm I lived in college, and it's kind of like a little rat nest, and then it's not good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And they're opening cans of tuna fish. We went up to Robin Lindstrom's room. We were her guest that day, and she said, "No, just come up here. I'll make you. I've got tuna salad." I was like, "Oh, hey, tuna salad." And she's opened that can up, and I was like, "Okay." But bless her. But they do sacrifice. So I have a newfound respect for them because they are traveling a lot. They're spending a lot of time away from their families and their grandkids, and that's important to me because that's hard. I walked away from my little grandson tonight, and he was crying, "Jay!" He calls me Jay. So I have a newfound respect for them and what they're doing because they do sacrifice quite a bit. So show them some love along the way there. All right, so if you want to stay in touch and see what's going on for the rest of this session, I have some different sites down here that will help you. I use all of these every day to kind of do my research and when I'm going in and finding out what is happening. I love going to the Arkansas Legislature site. You can go in there and type in your bill. It will pull it up exactly what stage it's in, what has happened. They have it. It's really pretty cool. They have it all listed there. You can track it. It's not like the old days where you had to really be down there. Now you can watch things online. They have most everything video. So if you want to see what's going on in a committee, you can do it by video. You just go to this site here, go into the agenda. It's fairly easy, and you can track bills and find out what's going on and see what stage it's in. I like Legiscan there. That is a really good one. They put down every bill in every state there. I mean, it's a huge database, but you can go right in there and find out everything that passed in Arkansas. They have it listed there. They have notes. They have details. So if you're really into that kind of stuff, that would be a good one for you to go to. And then there's the Arkansas Association of Counties. They are tracking things as well, so you can go in there. And then I like Conduit News. They're staying up on everything. You can sign up with Conduit just to get alerts every week. Every week they have a list of bills, where they are, how Conduit looks at things mostly from budget, from a fiscal kind of lens. So that's what they're looking at. How responsible is that bill as far as, our conservative values. And so they track a lot of things, and of course they do others as well, but that's really their focus. But I love going into their website. I get a text, and like right now it says Week 10 Legislative Report, and they have a list of everything that's coming up right now. These things are being talked about this week, so you have it right in front of you. Here's a couple of things that are going on. I think my time's about up, right? So we're getting pretty close.
2 minutes, yeah.
So coming up, changing the name of Obamacare Medicaid expansion. They put a pose on here, and they'll give you the reasons down below that. Immunity from lawsuits for campus police departments. They're opposing that for obvious reasons. We never want to give anybody immunity for anything like that because I feel like some people would take that. I think most of our police officers are great people, but every now and then, so I'm kind of opposed to that as well. So there's all kinds of different ones on here. Reducing individual income taxes to 0. How do y'all feel about that?
Good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
About time.
Conduit supports that. I kind of do too. So that's one that's coming up because we're at a budget surplus in Arkansas. So why not give our people a break from taxes right now? Because obviously we're all, many people are suffering right now. So that would be great at a time like this. So all kinds of different things. Universal licensing recognition for military spouses. So if we have a military who arrive and they have a teaching certificate from Tennessee, then they will allow them to teach in Arkansas without having to go through all that additional licensure like many of us have had to do over the years, so it kind of helps. I just got my lifetime teaching certificate. After you retire, you can do that, and I'm so glad, because I'm so tired of filing that every 5 years. So anyway, that will help a lot of our people moving in. So there's all kinds of different ones listed here. If you want to go in there and find out information that's coming up, and make sure that if you are interested, look at that legislation site at AFRW, because I will be having things posted on that weekly or as needed that we need to call about, because sometimes we have to call. You know what? Most of our people, if you go into that Arkansas Leg site, you can get the cell phone numbers are listed for every representative and senator in Arkansas, and you can text them, and they answer almost immediately. Almost every one of them do. It's rare that one of them won't. So they want to hear from us, and if it's something important, I think it helps them to say, hey, my constituents want this. They let me know. So I think it's important we let them know when things come up that, need to be done. So one of the things that I'm going to talk to Robin Lundstrom about is I found out through a friend, Harbor High in Springdale, which is the high school my granddaughter, who's now 6, will eventually go to, is teaching socialism in one of their classes. And they're not just teaching it as a, let's teach all the different ways and compare and contrast and, all those things that teachers sometimes do. Well, why is capitalism better than socialism? It's not that. That's not what they're doing. It's not that kind of program. They are teaching it as if it's the best thing on earth.
Ooh, gotta stop it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So that's one thing that I think we need to get involved in Arkansas. I just cannot understand why they would allow that. Maybe they don't even know that teachers teaching that way. But that's one thing that I think I'm going to start kind of complaining about and going to some school board meetings and things like that, because we have to stay on top of that. So maybe that'll be something that we'll see in the legislature pretty soon. We'll see. So hopefully. But all right. So lots of information. I appreciate your patience. I know that sometimes this is dry. If you're not like really interested like I am, I kind of get into it, but not everybody does. But you do? Good. I can kind of tell. You guys knew a lot that was going on for sure. So any questions or comments or concerns?
Did I miss something? Did you talk about number 4?
Oh, I think I did skip that. I'm sorry. Yes, that was a bill that was passed because many churches were closed, and so they are, if you read that bill, it's very interesting. They're saying that the benefits of religion far outweigh any epidemics, whatever might happen to close a church. Not just spiritual, but financial, because of the things that churches do. I mean, how the churches are involved in all kinds of different missions and feeding programs, after school programs. So all the benefits of organized religion far outweigh all the things that, the negative things that can happen. Of course, I think there are guidelines. They didn't just say willy-nilly open them all up and, let people do whatever, but what our legislators said, that the benefits far outweigh closing a church and not allowing worship. So if we ever find ourselves in that again, they're kind of heading it off at the pass, so to speak, so that that won't happen again. And I think, did California finally, because of the Supreme Court, open up their churches? But I think some of them have been slow, so I just can't even imagine. But all right, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. Robin was talking about this, and I never heard what happened was that when a group of people are brought in by, say, Simmons plant, and they're brought in to work, and yet, Robin was concerned about this because of their background, I don't know how to say it, the culture. There was sexual mutilation,
Oh, yeah.
and I never heard what happened to that. They were trying
You know, I
to-
haven't either. I'm gonna ask about that because I know that that was happening a lot in the Muslim community, like when a little girl reached a certain age.
6 years old.
Yeah, especially in Minneapolis or Minnesota and that area where there's like huge Muslim populations, and doctors were going along with it and actually helping out. And so I don't know how that turned out here, but I'm gonna look back because I think maybe that did pass, that it's, again,
Robin at the time, and this has been a while back, she said there was like 600 cases already just in Arkansas, 2020.
yeah. I think that was in the 2019 session. I'll have to go back and look and see what, I believe it did, kind of like in the back of my mind, but I'll have to go back and look at that. I know, can you even imagine? I just, crazy.
And then they let them die. They don't treat them.
Yeah, they get
They
infections.
get infection,
and
they
stuff
let 'em
like that,
die.
yeah. Crazy, crazy thing. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your letting me be here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, we have a little gift for you. Did you have an extra paper?
I have my extras over there. These are my copies of the legislation. Just in case you ask me some hard questions, I have a backup here.
Yep. Oh, thank you for all that information. It's very good. This is Women's History Month. Is that what they call it? Women's something month.
Yep.
Yep. Women's History Month. So, yeah, it's good to have that list of all the women in our legislature. And, yep. One woman can make a lot of
I
difference.
think it was the International Women's History Month, wasn't it? International.
March is,
Women's
they
History
had
Month.
Women's Day.
Yes.
Someone had a Women's Day, but I think this month is Women's Month. They've been highlighting that, so, yeah, so I'm glad to see so many of our great women in the legislature. Okay. Now, we are going to have announcements, and one of the biggest announcements is that on April 9th and 10th, the Arkansas Federation of Republican Women is having their 33rd Biennial Convention in Little Rock, and anyone can go to that. We need to elect 3 delegates, and we'll do that during the business meeting, so I hope all of you will stay for the business meeting so we can do that. We need 3 alternates. We have our delegates, but yeah, we need 3 alternates to go, but anybody can go. So you can go for Friday night only, or you can go Saturday only, or you can go Friday and Saturday, and that, I believe, is $75. The sign up is through Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite and put in Arkansas AFRW, I believe it will come up. So I registered today. How many are registered already to go? Am I the only one going? Oh, there we go. Yeah, our visitors.
What's the date on that?
April 9th and 10th.
Oh, yeah, we're going, aren't we, John? We're not going to that? We were going to that.
Christy, it's AFRW.
Oh.
Arkansas FRW. Yeah, yeah. You're going because you're a delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Husbands aren't gonna go.
Husbands aren't going.
Husbands aren't gonna go.
Oh, the husbands don't come at all for this.
No, you're on your own with us. Yeah.
I could probably go.
All right. He can come if he wants. Yeah. So, also, there are the Republican Party of Arkansas platform. We have little booklets like this. If you don't have one, we would love for you to have one. There's some at the table where you signed in. There's some up here. And if you want to come up while I'm making announcements, you're welcome to come up and grab one. So that would be just fine. Yeah, that's better than our passing them out, I think. Yeah. We also have CDs that is a fundraiser for us, and they're available over here, Happy Heart. CDs
Children.
by the Duggar children.
Just a
And
donation, whatever.
Yeah.
Just a donation.
yeah, we're asking for maybe $5, but you know, if you don't have $5, that's okay. Whatever you can afford. Or you can do more. And then we have the membership survey, which I handed out last month. Did anyone bring it back for me? Some people have. I appreciate that very much. I know that some of the questions might seem personal, but I want to assure you that no one is going to see this except me and the board members. That's 6 of us. That's it. And we only have it so that we know what the strengths and weaknesses are. Not the weaknesses, because that's not on here, but but the strengths of our membership. We have a very talented membership, and it would help. I haven't grown up here. I don't have, my folks weren't here for a long time, so I don't know a lot of people, and I don't know a lot of you. And so this is one way I was hoping to get to know you better, and then when we have little projects, or we need some advice or some counsel on something, we could just pull you in and, you know, just for a moment. So it's not anything long-term that we're looking for, though I am looking for a fundraising chair, and I'm looking for a legislative chair. So
Oh, we've got the legislative chair.
Mitty? Mitty Greening,
She
okay,
said
but
she
I,
would do that. Yeah.
yes, Mitty's good. Yay, Mitty! Thank you, Mitty. So you'll want to hook up with Jana. You probably already have. Yes.
I have some guests with me tonight.
Oh, would you please introduce them?
I have Sarah and her daughter Addison and her friend Cameron.
Okay.
Addison is showing a lot of interest in the Republican Party.
Great. Well, we are glad to have you, and you just come anytime. Yes, definitely. We will probably need your help on some things, so. Yeah. So, have I covered everything in the announcements? Did I forget anything?
Are you wrapping it up?
I'm about to wrap it up to adjournment of this meeting,
Okay.
this part of the meeting, and then we're gonna go to the business meeting.
Can I tell them about the cards, taking the cards afterwards?
Please, yes, please come up and tell them about that.
Okay.
Come over here.
Grab a few.
I knew there was something I forgot. That's why I
Well-
have people around me to help me think.
I was asked to see about making up these cards, people that are in our government for our Bible study. Because if you read Romans 13, it says that you need to, you know, pray for people that are in your government and respect them and everything. And so there is Joe Biden and Kamala. You know, but you don't have to take them. But if you feel led to, you can. But we just kind of picked out the main people, and you know, but it goes all the way down to our mayor and all of our council members. So take 1 or 2 to pray for. Here I have Judy Nation, our new mayor, and Carol Reed, our city board member. So
Tell
I think
them that
that's
Mary
good.
took Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, yes, Mary Box, our member, she's not here tonight, but she was a little reluctant, but she took Nancy Pelosi at Bible study last week. She said, well, I guess I feel like she needs prayer. I said, yeah, she does.
I just wanted to say something. You know, I pray all the time for Nancy Pelosi because it's something God put on my heart a long time ago. But what people don't realize is she is third in line in our nation. She is a very powerful woman. Whether you like her or you don't like her, and most people don't like her. Right. But she has a lot of power.
Oh, she does.
And the one thing I can say for her, whether it's wrong or not, is she gets things done.
Yeah. That's true.
I look her right crook.
But she still gets them done.
Yeah.
You know, she was raised from the time she was 12 years old, to do stuff. And she's always been very successful. And, you know, the thing about praying for her is she's highly influential.
She really is.
She needs a lot of prayer.
Someone on the news today said she was the most powerful woman in our country.
Yeah.
But and she's 81 years old.
I know, so age doesn't
Her
matter.
birthday was March the 3rd, 81 years old.
That's something, huh?
Scary.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for praying, Margaret, for her. And I think we'll all join in with Mary Box also and pray for her because she certainly needs it. And I'm so glad that Jana mentioned City Council, that is really important. I mentioned it a couple months ago. I would like to attend meetings. The last time I tried, they only allowed 9 people in the room, and that was all of their staff and the board. So I was, they didn't have visitors. I don't think they want visitors, actually.
Well, they'll open up though
But,
later.
yeah.
They will, they'll open up, right?
Because we really need to keep on top of the curriculum. There's several years, maybe a couple, 3 decades ago, a man named Mr. Zinn wrote a new history of America, and the trouble that we're seeing now, the young people hating America have come out of that curriculum because a lot of school boards adopted that curriculum. So we weren't on top of it. I mean, we weren't watching. We just expected it to be okay, but it's not. And so I would encourage you, if you have the time, to go to the board meetings. And then is there a county committee meeting tomorrow? Is it every week or is it just once a month?
No, it's once a month.
Once a month, and it's not tomorrow.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the third Monday, or third Tuesday of every month.
Third Tuesday, just, okay.
Benton County Committee.
And they
Okay.
meet at 6:30 now instead of 7.
Okay,
And,
yes, John Mark.
One thing, you mentioned going to city board meetings for,
it's the 4th. Okay,
you meant school.
School board.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, I said the wrong board. Yes, I meant the school board meetings,
So
yes.
City board doesn't have anything to do with school.
Yes, but the city needs people to look after them too, so.
Okay, Jonathan is saying, see, it used to be the day after our meeting, but now we meet the 3rd Monday. They meet the 4th Tuesday. The 4th Tuesday of the month for Benton County Committee.
Oh, okay. I was
So it's
wrong.
not tomorrow now?
No, it's not.
It's a week from
Be a week.
I got confused because last month we had a weird meeting.
Oh, because we were
Yeah.
delayed, that's right.
Yeah.
Jonathan, did you have something to say?
Where do they meet? Where do they meet at? Oh, Assembly God Church on New Hope. Yeah, that big, isn't it? It's a big church.
Okay, so
Oh, it's
next
not?
week,
Oh, it's not. Okay, we'll try to get you the address.
and anybody's invited to that meeting,
Yeah,
so.
if they're online, you can look them up online or Facebook.
Okay, so, I'm going to adjourn this part of the meeting. I forgot my gavel, so
Oh,
forgive me.
okay.
And we will, open up the business meeting, and it's a short meeting, actually, hopefully. And I'll ask Amy to read the minutes, and if anyone would like a copy, there are plenty of copies here. Is that what you need? No, I have one. Oh, you have one? Yeah. Would anyone like a copy of the minutes?
Okay, I'll make this really quick. Our meeting last month was on the 22nd. We had an alternate date because of the bad weather that we had. And we had 13 people attend in spite of the weather. And the speaker was our Siloam-Springs Chief of Police, Alan Gilbert. And he did an outstanding job. I hope maybe sometime we can have him back again in the future when the weather's better and people can get out. Carolyn passed out the surveys at the last business meeting, and she's kind of covered that tonight. Kathy read the treasurer's report as of February 22nd. We had $1,417.77 in our admin account, and the PAC account had a balance of $696.50. We did not conduct any old or new business, and that was it. Oh, I was just going to remind everybody, again, next month at our meeting, we'll have June Wood and Mindy McAlinden come in, the 2 ladies that are running for Arkansas Committee Woman. So y'all need to be sure and come back. Arkansas National Committee Woman.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to hearing from you then.
Perfect timing. You have my green sheet? This is my green sheet.
going without my green sheet. What did you need, your green sheet? Yeah. I guess I took it from you.
Thank you. It's over there. All right. And then we'll have our, yes, treasurer's report. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I should have known that without my green sheet.
We have two checking accounts. Our beginning balance of our administrative account was $1,417.77. We have receipts of $40 and expenses of $52.56. So our balance is $1405.21 in our administrative account, and our political action committee account had no activity, so that balance remains $696.50. Thank you.
All right. I think I've already talked about old business, our member surveys. Does anybody need a copy of the member survey to fill out? Would you like to fill it out before you leave today? Okay. All right, they're up here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Kathy, could you pass them out for people? Thank you. Yeah. So I really appreciate your doing that. Is there any other old business? Anything that we talked about last time that, okay. Then we'll move to new business. And I think we've already talked about the convention and urging you to sign up. And there's just a few that have, so you go there. How many of you are getting information? And this is so I don't duplicate it, because I have been sending out some information from NFRW and AFRW, forwarding it on. You haven't gotten it?
I don't think we usually get much, but the president always does, right?
Yeah, and I've been passing along.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Right.
and if you want me just to continue to pass it on, pass on what I think is important or
I think that's
applicable, then I'll do that, but I don't want to duplicate it and fill up your boxes.
Caroline, I did get one about the March for Life,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't know where it was. I knew it was 1 to 3.
In Pinnacle Hills?
Where?
Oh, it was in Pinnacle Hills,
Okay.
by that walking trail by that church.
Yeah, that's at the Cross
Yeah.
Church, isn't it?
Cross Church, yeah.
Cross Church.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought it was on there, but maybe not. Okay. Did anyone get to go to the walk? The prayer walk last Saturday? Okay. So now are there 3 people here who are not already going to the convention who would like to go? So we can elect you as alternates.
Who are the delegates you might list?
Well, I go already, so there are 3 delegates beside me, and that's Christy, Ann, and I don't have my notes here. Who was the third one? You and Ann and Kathy, were you going?
No.
You weren't you weren't able to go,
I
right?
have a Gideon convention that weekend.
I thought Helen was going.
Yes.
I might be able to.
I thought you were a delegate, but yeah. But the delegates, were you?
I have discovered I had a big conflict.
So we need to elect another delegate. Okay.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
I am too, yeah. Okay, can anybody go, the 9th and 10th of April? Please?
I'll check, I might be able to.
Okay,
I'll call you if,
okay, I thought you were going anyway.
well, I was confused.
Okay, oh, we'll talk about it later.
But yeah.
Okay. Kathy, could you go? Mary? Mitty? You can't, okay, all right, well.
I might be able to, I just need to double check something.
All right, we want a good showing there. And I just wondered, who does not have a copy of the U.S. Constitution in this room? Does everyone have a copy?
I do.
Okay, that's one of our projects for this year, to give a Constitution to every graduating senior. So, yeah, so I just want to make sure we had the Constitution first. All right. All right, is there any other new business? All right. May I hear a motion to adjourn?
I so move we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, second? Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Go change the world. I was glad to see John.